Toto, we're home. Toto, we're home. Come back. Whoa, we're coming into focus here. Hey, everybody, it's John Smale again, coming at you with the Smalespace vlog in a new year. And today's episode is about the interior of Smalespace, or the decor, whatever you want to call that sense of place that everybody found very comfortable and warm and inviting. And now we were kind of blessed with a good building. There's a photo here on the on the upper part of the page there that shows what the building looked like when I first rented it. That's sort of day one with a homemade ladder and everything right there. And it was sandwiched between two buildings with a courtyard in the front of it, which made it kind of very kind of an interesting place, a bit mysterious in some ways, that set back off the street. And so it was all brick, like London yellow brick, which is very indigenous to the area, or very popular in the architectural style. And so the interior walls were brick also. Now, when you have an industrial building like that, that's what everybody seems to want these days. Back then, it was a kind of a novelty in a sense that let's put it this way: what are you going to do with a place that's a blank canvas? So, we're lucky enough to have wood ceiling and lucky enough to have these brick walls. But what do you put on them, and what pulls it all together? Lighting is a big factor with any decor, and lighting was I bought industrial shades secondhand from a factory that was being torn down, and they were those metal factory shades like I have here in my office. In fact, I've kind of been in love with them all my life, the industrial look. And I had everything on dimmers, and sometimes of the year I'd change out the color of the light bulbs, and the stage lighting, of course, was all homemade lighting and various tones of greens, reds, and blues. And that lighting makes a place feel warm and inviting, especially in the winter. You have to get that warm feeling. Now, flooring, it was a concrete floor, and that wasn't so good for acoustics. But my mother gave me a couple Persian carpets. They weren't real Persian carpets like from Afghanistan or from Iran or anything like that. But they lasted for years, and they didn't show a lot of wear and tear on them because they had a lot of wear and tear in them already. And we had the old trusty Hoover vacuum cleaner, and that was just fine and dandy. Now, colors, as I say, when you have yellow brick walls, that's a great start because it's already warm. The photos I have here that are on display on this page, I've said this before, I've used these photos in other episodes because I don't have hardly any photos. I don't know what the heck we were thinking. Nobody seemed to have a camera. We didn't feel like it was important to take photographs. I'm not quite sure. I wish we had hundreds of photographs. People say they've seen them, whatever. But needless to say, the warm tones of yellow and gold were what one remembers the place by, and especially with my brother Jim's candles spread throughout the place. You'll see one in this black and white photo here. His candles were big. His forms were sort of 2-liter milk cartons that he poured wax and different colors of wax, and he mixed them and formed them into really cool pieces of art. And they were on the tables and just gave a gentle glow. It wasn't an open flame. It was sort of, the wicks were down in the candle area there. Now, on the walls, so what makes up the decor? What is the artwork? What is the, what's the theme? Well, the theme was pretty mixed because I put an ad in the paper. I've spoken about this in other episodes too, how we use the London Free Press and the buy and sell and the classified ads to make requests, like for the piano and for chairs, etc. Now, the artwork is one of those things where I said, if you have an interesting piece of memorabilia, an artifact or whatever, and you'd like to donate it, we'd be happy to recognize you for that and play a little guessing game with people to see if they knew what these things were. There were so many wacky pieces that people brought in and said, "Do you know what this is, kid?" And I'd say, "I don't know. Is it a better mousetrap?" And they'd say, "No, that's a, we used to have ice boxes. This is the tray you put in or whatever. And this is the doodad that you used in the kitchen to mash a turnip or whatever." So there was a lot of that stuff on the wall and old sepia photographs and things like that. And you can sort of see some signs that would be on the side of buildings and like old commercial signs. Now the tables and chairs. Now I put an ad in the paper again for treadle sewing machine bases. You remember the old Singer sewing machines, and you used to operate your feet up and down, and it would, move the flywheel, which would move the bobbin and the needle up and down. And I didn't want the sewing machines. All I wanted was the cast base, and on the top of them, some of them had wood tops and some of them had marble tops. And the marble tops, I also removed off the sidewalk during garbage night one night down at Canada Trust Building. They were doing some remodeling there and just throwing out all this old marble. And so those became the tabletops and the table bases, and other bases were sort of funky wood things and some restaurant bases. And what I liked about the place was we had a variety of table sizes for small, intimate seating, and larger for a group of 4, larger for a group of 6, and tables you could put together, etc. And the chairs, as I mentioned before, in one of the beginning episodes, was they were all a mix and match. Antique chairs like wood press back chairs and old dining room chairs and some metal tubular chairs, and that added to the sort of the charm of the place, is it wasn't all matchy. And that's kind of a trend that you see in a lot of restaurants and hospitality places now, is that designers go out of their way to create zones with different stylings to them, and that's what we did. And it was kind of cluttery but fun, and so it wasn't precious feeling. Now at the front of Smalespace, as you walked in, and in the beginning days, we had a retail store, and it was sort of a consignment store, and my brother Bob ran that. And in the consignment displays or whatever, there'd be leather goods and my brother Jim's candles, of course, and there'd be carvings and macrame and tie-dye scarves and some clothing items, leather items, accessories, guitar straps, all that sort of stuff. As we got more successful and needed more seating, that area went. And it was very hard to keep track of the inventory. It was very hard to make money off of it because let's face it, we weren't a retail environment where it was just sort of an adjunct to the coffee house and the entertainment, etc. And you'll see at the front there the big window looking onto the courtyard, which was sort of became a collection of things on the windowsills, and this kind of interior design came along at the same period with the Mother's Pizza chain. This kind of look was emulated over the next few years at Kelsey's and Casey's and other, maybe I'm just mentioning Ontario restaurant chains, but sort of this bric-a-brac memorabilia clutter shabby chic look became sort of de rigueur at that time. There's a picture down here in the bottom. That's me in the hat, Skinny Johnny there. That's Roy MacDonald, our resident poet in London, kind of a street poet and really a downtown all around character really. That's Brenda Bradstreet. My God, she looks terrific there, and that's her wonderful husband Dave Bradstreet. And there's a bit of a crowd scene there. Now, what I find is really funny is the washrooms. Now you say, well, what's so funny about washrooms? Everybody uses them, etc. But we only had one unit in the men's room, which was a toilet, and we had one unit in the women's washroom, which was a toilet. In other words, a toilet and sink, of course, in each one. And when you've got 100 people in there, plus staff, it certainly doesn't pass today's standards. I mean, I'm a commercial designer, and I have to follow Ontario and Canadian building codes when I design restaurants. And, there's a chart in there, and it says, how many people and whether you're a licensed establishment, because you need more washrooms or more units in the washroom if you're a licensed place. But all those years, we got by with just the one washroom. And by today's standards, you'd have to have a separate staff washroom too. So we were lucky that we didn't have to put in more washrooms. Now, one funny, or not funny, but interesting part of the club was the side door. And it was on the upper level, and then there were stairs going up to get you up to grade level. And this is where the waitresses and kitchen staff or kitchen people would congregate during when somebody was on stage, because the tables and chairs would be taken, and this became their seating area, because I shut down the kitchen. Now the kitchen had swinging saloon doors, so they weren't full height door going into the kitchen. I didn't want that. But I also didn't, when an act was going to go on stage, I wanted everything to be quiet. So the kitchen lights went out, the doors closed, and the girls sat on the back stairs and sang along and did their wonderful, dances during a performance. I always think of the side door as being a very memorable spot. So that gives a bit of insight about the interior of Smalespace. As I'm not going to apologize, but there just aren't a lot of pictures. And suffice to say, a lot of people felt really good when they were in the room, in the space, and always felt it was a warm, inviting, and cozy feeling that played well with the music on stage. And those are the remarks I hear back. These aren't personal comments. These are feedback I've had from people over the years. I hope you enjoy this this episode of Smalespace. We're going to have some new episodes coming up, as I say. I want to wish everybody a really happy New Year. I put down here, hello folks, but I meant, I should have just said, hey, happy New Year, folks. And that's today's episode, and please do subscribe if you want to hear more stories and get notifications of them. Just hit subscribe, and we'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.